Yo, what's going on, guys? Sinister Skater here. I have Diamond on my light machine gun, so you know that means it's time for episode number 4 of Best to Worst for Call of Duty World War II for the LMGs. Now, the idea behind this series is I rank each weapon class from best to worst after I get Diamond on the weapons. I spend a lot of time with the weapons in hopes that if you haven't used the weapon as much or don't have the game, that you can go into World War II with some knowledge to shred on the battlefield. In addition to the camo grind, I also play some games with like a neutral class setup, some games with like a try-hard class setup to rank the weapons appropriately, and then I also briefly investigate to see what the internet has to say. But in World War II, there are 4 LMGs in this game as of now. Actually, I'm sorry, there's actually 5 with the addition of the GPMG during the Winter Siege. And overall, as a class, the LMGs aren't as viable as an option in World War II. They're very slow and sluggish, and they do not handle well unless you play very passively or campy with like a minimal movement playstyle, which is a shame because the past couple Call of Duties, especially Black Ops 3, the LMGs were very good, and some of my favorite weapons were LMGs. Now, before I start ranking, I'm going to note that I'm not going to be including the GPMG officially in this best to worst because honestly I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will take a minute at the end to give it like an honorable mention or a suggested placement after I rank the core LMGs. So as always, this is my best to worst list. You're encouraged to share your own list or thoughts on the best or worst weapon down below in the comments. You'll probably see me there and other viewers who may disagree or agree with you. But let's get started. The best light machine gun in World War II, in my opinion, is the Lewis. Hands down, the best and my favorite LMG, and is probably among my top weapons in this game. I'm kind of about to fanboy about this weapon right now. The Lewis is a 3-shot kill LMG. I'm pretty sure it's always a 3-shot. It may be 4 shots to kill. I'm kind of second guessing myself right now, but that doesn't matter because the thing is powerful and reliable at all ranges. I'd say it has like a medium rate of fire with a very, very slow climbing recoil that goes directly up over time, but it's very easy to handle and feels like it has pretty much no recoil when you're actually like using the weapon and handling it in gunfights. This makes for a consistent weapon you can hold the trigger down with all the way out to those super long ranges and pop people 3 times and they go down. It feels so good, and I love when I'm using it. The only downside to the Lewis, well, I guess this isn't a downside, but should mention there's 47 in the mag, which is 3 less than a couple of the other LMGs. But the downside I'd say is that the iron sights are somewhat obstructive, as they have like these vertical poles that stick out of the top of the weapon, but they're open enough where I actually like to use them, just a tad bit obstructive. But Lewis is the best. That'll pretty much wrap up this best to worst. Don't use anything else. No, I'm just kidding. But Lewis is absolutely amazing. At number 2, we have the MG15. This is a fast rate of fire light machine gun with 50 in the clip. Pretty much a 4-shot kill at nearly all ranges, and has absolutely beautiful iron sights. It's almost like a 4X optic. They're really cool. It recently got buffed and had its recoil reduced. Pre-buff, I wouldn't put the MG15 at number 2, but post-buff, the recoil, it's much more tighter and seems to like slowly climb up like the Lewis. Oh, it's a little bit more than the Lewis, but it's much more handleable than it was before, and you can hold down the trigger now and just burst people down at long ranges. Before, the MG15 will kick like a mule in every direction and shoot straight up, so definitely am digging that buff. The fire rate makes it feel almost like a submachine gun until you realize you move like a turtle, but the MG15 melts quickly and again is easy to use and is now definitely 100% better than the MG42, where before it was kind of hard to pick which one was better than the other. The MG15 also has a slightly faster reload than the other LMGs and is overall again a pretty good weapon. I find the Lewis more reliable and easier to use, but the MG15 is right behind it now with that buff. At number 3, we have the MG42, and stat-wise, this is pretty much the same weapon as the MG15, except with a few flaws or setbacks. It has the same ammo capacity, same damage profile, same range as the MG15. The iron sights aren't as nice, but that's really not the real issue. The real issue is that it has the same damage profile as the MG15, but a slightly slower fire rate, almost like 70 RPM slower than the MG15, which makes for a slower time to kill, and it's just straight up worse than the MG15. To make the MG42 worse, it has this weird recoil. It's like the same, if not less recoil climb than the MG15, but it has this weird, quirky, like jerky side-to-side movement when you fire it. And in gunfights, it feels like the best way to describe it is feels like my bullets are dancing around the enemy at times. It's very weird and gives like this MG42 a sense of inconsistency. The one thing it does have going for it, surprisingly, is it has a pretty good hip-fire spread, and you can reliably hip-fire people in close-quarter situations. Forgot to mention this for the previous LMGs, but don't hip-fire them. They're not as reliable. You can, like you're right next to them, but with the MG42, you can actually spray people down to, like, those longer close-range engagements, which is cool for an LMG. Fun fact, this thing also has like the longest inspect animation ever. It's like you inspect your gun, you think you're done, and then he turns it around and looks at it again. It's kind of funny. Try it out for yourself. Yeah, that brings us to the Bren, which is hands down the worst LMG out of them all. This is a slower rate of fire, like really slow rate of fire, like machine gun with an extremely high damage profile. You will get 2-shot kills a majority of the time. If you happen to be at a far enough range, it will take 3 shots. But besides having a 2-shot kill potential, every other aspect of this weapon sucks. And I'm about to take a crap on it because it pretty much just... I'm going to list off why this weapon is the worst. Has 30 in the mag. It does have a slow fire rate, but you will run out of ammo easily because the ammo goes by quick, and you only get 60 in the reserves. The recoil climbs a lot, and this weapon has very big view kicks in between shots, which just messes up with your aim. Mix that in with the slower fire rate, and if you miss a shot in a gunfight, you're done, you're gonna die. Also add in the factor of flinch when you get into a gunfight. So if you're shot, you're more likely to miss a shot, and then you're gonna die again because that fire rate is excruciatingly slow. Speaking of gunfights, this weapon has an absurdly slow aim down sights time. It's like 2 seconds longer than the other LMGs. I noticed this trying to be active with this weapons when I was going for gameplays. Like if you get caught off guard and get dragged into a gunfight, if you aim down sights and start firing at the same time, like you pull the triggers at the same time, your sights will be fully centered on the enemy once that 3rd shot fires off. That's 2 missed shots. It almost makes it impossible to be active with this weapon. It requires you pretty much to be aimed down sights at all times or to pre-fire from a long ways away with the weapon. Speaking of hip firing, you know, you're hip firing while you're aiming down sights to get that 3rd shot off, and you don't want to hip fire with this weapon because it is atrocious. I'm not sure if I'll put a clip or not, but the bullets literally go around your enemy. It's probably the largest hip fire spread I've seen in a Call of Duty in recent years. Like, what else sucks about the Bren? Yes, the weapon is obstructive as hell. The iron sights are god-awful. The little target is nice and accurate, but the ring you have to look through takes up so much space when you aim down sights. The clip sticks out of the top of the weapon. It takes up like a third of your screen when you aim down sights. You can only see stuff to your left of the weapon. You can barely see anything on the right. When you're not aimed down sights, the weapon itself with the clip just takes up so much of your screen you can't really see. Like it's like a 1/4 to 1/5 of your screen the weapon takes up. Even when you get rid of the clip, like the weapon's just huge, and you inspect the weapon, it takes up so much of your screen. Like, this weapon just sucks. I thought there's like no way this weapon is that bad. I'm like, it has to be like the fastest time to kill or have a secret perk to it or something. I kept second guessing myself thinking it's like low-key awesome, like the Gorgon LMG in Black Ops 3. So I took a hard look at the Bren stats, and statistically, the Bren still sucks and has the slowest time to kill. So I don't know. Actually, I do know, like, this weapon sucks and don't use it except to get challenges done. Although I must say it does feel good when you're sitting in place and chugging away at enemies and dropping them in 2 shots. And you can get kills with it, unlike the double-barreled shotgun. But besides that, the Bren still sucks. That wraps up the core weapons. I promised I'd speak about the GPMG, so now is that time. The GPMG I'd place right now either right after the MG15 at number 3, if it were to be included in the official list, or at the worst position, or maybe not the worst position because the Bren sucks, so maybe 4. But the reason being is that the GPMG is a literal clone of the MG15. It has the same fire rate and all of that. It has slightly less recoil, which makes it easier to use than the MG15. But to compensate for that, the GPMG has a severely small clip size of 30 and excruciatingly long reload. A reload believe it or not, longer than the Bren. The clip size and reload bottlenecks the GPMG so hard, and it makes it hard to use it as an LMG unless you use like the infantry with the extended mag so you can spray a bunch of bullets. At that point, you know, you might as well just use an assault rifle because it has the same mag size of 30. You can increase the ammo in these same ways. So with that said, it'd be at number 3 for being slightly worse than the MG15, right behind that, or in the worst position for it not being an LMG, but rather a wannabe assault rifle, if that makes sense. Hopefully that simile or metaphor, whatever it's called, makes sense. I must say though, using the weapon sure does feel good. It kills very quick and easy, and the heroic variant is very shiny because I have that. But that's my list. That's my best to worst list for the LMGs. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I encourage you to share your own best to worst list, or at least again your best or worst LMG in your opinion. I feel like my list is pretty accurate, but again, it's the internet and you never know what people have to say, so I can't hear what you all have to say. Alright, that'll be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to demonstrate that by tapping that thumbs up button and or dropping a comment down below. And if you really liked what you saw today, consider subscribing if you are not already, and turn on notifications for this channel by hitting the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my uploads. My social media and more is linked in the description, and with that, my name is 𝐡𝐨𝐩𝐞. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.